He's done it!
Throws up the floater.
Oh, astonishing.
Pulls off three-pointer.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Record. I am your host, Bailey Jackson, alongside my co-host, Lachelle Smith. And we've got a loaded show for you today. We're breaking down everything from Game 4 of the Fever Aces matchup, the Liberty's controversial coaching change, to a potential elimination game for the Lynx, plus a recap of the wild double overtime showdown between Penn State and Oregon. We'll also dive into the quarterback drama in Minnesota and wrap things up with some potential Week 5 predictions. Strap in, chat, get ready, because we've got some fiery takes coming your way, and we want to hear from you, so let's get into it. Like I said, we are starting off today's show with the Fever Aces game. The Fever stay alive. They beat the Aces at home 90-83, which makes Tuesday a winner-takes-all matchup. Asia Wilson finished Game 4 with 31 points. Looking at the Fever, Kelsey Mitchell finished with 25, and Leah Boston finished with 24. We said from the jump that we need to see both Aaliyah and Kelsey play to the level we know they're capable of, and they did just that today. I also really liked what I saw from Odyssey Sims. She balled out with 18 points today, and she's been really great at a couple of things. Honestly, this playoff run has really impressed me when it comes to, her court vision, her playmaking ability. She's been really good getting to the basket. Kicking it out for open threes. The one thing that I will say, looking at the Fever and how they ended this game, they simply just can't have that type of ending, especially against a team like the Aces, a team that has championship experiences. That's my hot take on it. Lachelle, I want to hear your thoughts as we both watched this matchup. I know you have some opinions about what the Fever are doing.
Yeah, I didn't expect this. So all credit to them, all credit to them. I think I'm more so just confused on the Aces and again, it's credit for both things. I know some people like the argument, is it more about how all the good things the Fever did, or is it more about all the bad things that the Aces did? And I think it's a culmination of both. Odyssey Sims has been amazing for them because I think she complements the speed of Kelsey Mitchell. And we all know Stephanie White wants to play a very up-tempo offense. And they really have that. They could play very up-tempo with Kelsey, with Odyssey, with Lexi. They have enough to kind of play the brand that they want. But I am worried about the Aces now because, and I think we got a little bit worried towards Game 2 because it kind of was okay, something's not right here. I trust Becky Hammond, but I have questioned some of her rotations. I think Dana Evans should be getting way more minutes. To me, she is the only other person off that bench that can match speed, can give you shot-making ability, and also can guard these fast guards that the Fever have. I also think that Kia Stokes has to get more minutes as well. I don't think Bell is going to be able to give because they're playing too fast. And I don't think she's quick enough to stay in the level of that offense and defense because eventually she ends up fouling. Then she goes back to it's you need someone who's going to be sound. That's what they have to do. I think the rotations have been a little iffy and a little bit stagnant too. I don't know. Winner takes all. Game 5 in Las Vegas. At this point, to me, no one has momentum other than really the Fever. I mean, now this is what you wanted. Nothing else matters now. You win, you're going to the WNBA finals. The Fever making the finals without Caitlin Clark is a very interesting conversation. It's even more interesting when you look at the Aces and you're they beat you without Caitlin Clark? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I didn't expect it. I didn't even have the Fever making it this far. The Dream were supposed to beat them. So I'm all in a tizzy.
Absolutely. I mean, we said in earlier episodes that this was the most improbable team to make it this far into the playoffs. And the fact that they have made it even this deep into the series, I think has been a shock for us all. Somebody in the chats asked, if the Aces lose, do you think Becky gets fired like Sandy?
They love Becky. They will live or die with Becky because I think the Aces organization understands how hard it is to have a good coach, which is why I think you saw Becky say what she said about Sandy. The standard is like a Cheryl Reeve. You keep someone under tenure for as long as you possibly can, through good and through bad, because good coaches are hard to come by. I think how the Aces started the season was bad. So I think at the end of the day, they're like, well, hey, you turned it around. Things still worked out. I mean, it's a conversation for sure. You look at the Aces and say, well, what's the problem? I think it's been a roster thing for them. Last year, Jackie Young wasn't fully healthy. They had problems there. Now she's fully healthy. I think it's a rotational thing, and it's a structure of how that roster is as to why they're kind of going through certain obstacles now. But I think Becky's going to be with the Aces for a long time. Something catastrophic, like they would have to keep losing in the playoffs. But it would shock me. It would 100% shock me if she wasn't the Aces head coach if they lost.
I agree. I don't think Becky is necessarily an issue. I don't think it would be a reactive thing for the Aces if they were to potentially lose this game 5 to go turn around and say, hey, Becky, you're out the door. That just doesn't make sense in this case. For other teams, maybe, understand. I don't even know if Sandy necessarily is a good example of like a comparison of like why they're getting fired, quote unquote. And we'll get into that here in a little bit in segment 3 of of this episode. But I do agree with you. I don't think Becky gets fired if the Aces ultimately lose game 5. With that being said, I know you kind of mentioned this earlier. You think Fever are going to ultimately take this series, even in
No, Vegas? that never came out of my mouth.
Oh, I heard you wrong. Oh,
no. The Indiana.
I must be hearing things.
You heard what you wanted to. No. I'm a stand by my flag, right or wrong. Okay. I still have the Aces. This is a little bit for me at the fact that, listen, chat, I'm not doing well anyway because I had the Aces winning and then I had Minnesota winning and I had Minnesota winning it all. And we already in a mess with that right now. So I don't know how much my word really means right now. I don't know. I think it speaks to the WNBA, but no, I'm not. I'm standing next to my Las Vegas Aces flag. I don't live in Las Vegas, but I'm standing by it. Hopefully they win game 5, but
Okay, Aces
what can
in 5.
I say?
Aces in 5. I'm just hearing things, chat. I'm just hearing things. I'm hearing what I want to hear, which is Fever in 5. Yeah. Even though I said Aces in 4 last episode, just in case anybody.
You didn't have faith. You didn't have faith, Bailey.
I can't lie. I did not see this coming, but I'm going to be one of those bandwagon fans and I'm going to hop on the train now, even though I always root for Indiana in every sport possible. I am switching sides. I'm going to say Fever in 5. We'll see what happens. We are historically not the best with predictions on this show. Sometimes we are, sometimes we aren't. So don't put money on what we say.
Please.
Then don't blame us if you do. On that note, we're going to go ahead and move on to the Lynx Mercury because both Lachelle and I chose the Lynx to advance past the Mercury. Speaking of predictions, but through 3 games, they're 1-2. The 2 teams face off again tonight. As a matter of fact, the game has already started for game 4 in Phoenix. And to make matters worse, they're entering this elimination game without their head coach and their star player. Cheryl Reeve was ejected in the last 22 seconds of game 3 after confronting officials when Collier suffered an injury and then proceeded to call for a change in league leadership during her post-game presser. She is serving her suspension during game 4. Like I mentioned, Collier is also out for game 4 with a left ankle injury. I want to take us back to game 3 and really break down how everything played out in those last 25 seconds and specifically Cheryl's comments. Chat, Lachelle, chime in here because what were your initial thoughts when she said what she said and reacted how she reacted in that moment?
I don't think Cheryl lied. I think she said a lot of facts. I think the officiating has been bad throughout the playoffs, actually. I think that's been questioned by a lot of coaches. Certain things are allowed to happen, but then the other team can also do it, and it kind of makes an imbalance. And I think she said something that was interesting. She's like, when you're going to the ref and asking why, and they're saying, well, I didn't see it, and I don't know. And it's like, well, that's not a really good answer to give in the semifinals of the playoffs. She had the hat trick of F-bombs. I like Cheryl. To unpopular belief, a lot of people don't like her. If you ask me, her and Becky Hammond are the same person, just different fonts. She did what I think a coach in that moment, even if you don't like it, I got the mental part of it. And what she did was more for her team rather than for herself. I think people think she did all that, the outburst, the running on the court was for her. I think when you look at Cheryl Reeve, she is a player's coach. She loves her team. She loves her players. She gets scrutinized because she will go in front of the media and say, well, Napheesa should have won and this and that. And like, she's okay with that, right? Her doing what she did, about to go hem up that ref, to me, that was for the team. Like, I know y'all can't go out there and do that. I already got one tech. I already know this tech gonna throw me out. Oh, well, so be it. Napheesa's on the ground. Who cares at this point? We already got to play again. Like, I think in her mind, she was like, whatever. Did she think she was going to get suspended? No, I didn't think she was going to get suspended. I actually thought that was very excessive. Like, you could have just fined her. I don't think we're at the... Come on now. Like, she already got ejected. Give her a fine. Let's go. Like, not playing, not being able to coach this game is crazy. That was a lot. Did she do a lot? Yes. But if you see Napheesa Collier out there on that ground, your team getting beat up, you ain't getting no calls, we ain't lost the game, throw me out, coach. Throw me out. Somebody gonna have to hear about me because she was finna him up that ref. You saw that ref got a skedaddled because Cheryl was fin to throw down. And I respect that she got up there. She didn't apologize. Hey, y'all, I should... No, I'm about to tell y'all why I did it. I'm about to call out Kathy. I'm about to call out the officiating. I'm about to call out this, and I'm finna walk up out of here and do what you got to do. And now she's suspended.
Right. No, she stood 10 toes down behind her argument, and you can't blame her for that. I don't blame her at all for being upset, on the court, in the presser, like not in the slightest. She's been talking about officiating during the whole season, especially this game. It's not just a, singular incident. Mm-hmm. Thing is, if you know that you're already kind of in trouble with the refs, you're already in trouble with officiating, you can't let your emotions get the best of you like that. I understand if you're writing for your team, like it's justified, but at the same time, understanding the consequences of the situation. Granted, I'm sure she, like you said, she didn't expect a suspension to be the ultimate outcome of everything. I still think you just have to be overly cautious in situations like that. And that's the one thing I just wish she would have thought a little bit more of. Of course, you're not thinking about that in a moment. I don't think anybody can go into a situation like that and be like, okay, well, let me think about how my actions are going to affect me in the future. Like nobody's thought process is like that when they're in a heated moment. But it's just something to be cognizant of going forward. This is a learning lesson at the end of the day. I mean, does it make a difference at this point? No. Game 4 is happening. She's not able to coach. Right. It is what it is. But something to be, like I said, aware of. With that being said, what do you think the Lynx need to show us in Game 4 to keep their season alive? Or do you think this is where their run ends?
I mean, if you look at their record when Napheesa was out, they played very well. And they won a lot of games. So they're used to this. I think they have already gotten themselves familiar with not having her out there because she was out for a good little stretch of that regular season. And they had a really good record. I think they had only 4 losses in that time that she wasn't playing. So I think it's guard play. I think it's decision making. I think because you don't have someone that's so important like Napheesa, everyone has to step up. You have to play to your strengths. I think the problem in this series has been their lack of involvement in the fourth quarter. They've lost 2 games because of the fourth quarter. It's not really the rest of it. It's that ending minutes from like a 5-minute mark all the way to the end of the game where they kind of just can't get a bucket. They don't have any answers. They start getting emotional. And I think in this game, it's all coming down to you got to close out the fourth. Absolutely. You can't leave a door open. I get they're fouling because Phoenix is fouling, rightfully so. They're a physical team. So I think I applaud Cheryl because I think what you want to do is plant seeds of return into the refs. So if I'm sitting here telling you that they're playing physical, but somehow my team is also not getting any calls, that doesn't make a lot of sense. All you're hoping for is maybe there's some more whistles this game. Maybe it slows this whole thing down. Because think about it. If you're calling more fouls on Phoenix, they got to stop playing as physical as they are, which I think is what Cheryl is like. If you call it even, it kind of minimizes this whole thing because they're doing whatever they want because they beating them up. They are bruised and battered. Like, so if you're Minnesota, it's like getting back to what you know. And I think that's been my thing about Minnesota. Do I think it's anything special Phoenix is doing? No, I think they're just playing their brand of basketball and Minnesota is trying to figure out how to out physical them. You're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. That's how they play. You got to go back to how you play, which is very structured, basketball, sharing the basketball. It's a little bit even faster pace, and it's being able to have 3-point shots and also going into the inside. Everything else will figure itself out, but you're not going to outfight Phoenix. It's just, you're going to lose that. And that's why they've been losing these games. Like, they just wear you down. And you think, oh, we're putting up a good fight. And then you get to the fourth quarter, and now Phoenix is like, great, we can beat you up all 3 quarters now. You just can't play that game. So Minnesota just has to go back to what they're doing. But they're going to play very spirited. I mean, Cheryl's not there. B's not there. Like, you're going to go out, and it's like, this is it. We got to win.
Yeah.
We got to win.
Yeah. I think as a result, you're going to see a very fired up team, a team that's coming in with a lot of energy, a lot of passion. I think with Fee out, Jess Shepard, she has to go off tonight. That girl has to hoop. She played well when she was starting before. She has to do that again. I think what has been going well for the Mercury is Satu. I think if she has an off night, the Lynx have a really good chance of winning this. She's been the difference maker for them so far. So I think it's a combination of a couple things. And then, the points that you mentioned as well. So, we'll ultimately see how this game does play out. We've got Groovy_FE in the chat. Cheryl called out the front office. They couldn't let that slide, or more coaches would do it. Kathy can't have coaches calling her out.
That's why she got suspended. She got suspended for the presser. She didn't get suspended for her antics. Stuff.
No.
It was the presser. The fact that she sat there with a straight face and said, the front office, it's a malpractice. This is what y'all want. Like, they really, I'm going to be real with you. They be acting like you scary. So I respect Kathy for being like, hey, man, because if I'm Kathy, I'm looking like, wait a minute. Now, you low-key acting like I'm scary. Like, you already got Caitlin over here laughing on Twitter about that $200 fine. See, everybody, my ego and pride, somebody got to get touched. Like, when Cheryl sat there and said that, Kathy said, no, I don't like how you talking to me, man. You gotta get suspended, big dog. I don't like how you did that. I don't like it. But if they win and go to game 5, do you understand how crazy Minnesota finished? When Cheryl walk in there, they need to play Minutemen when she, Mini-Men. I need to walk out there. If they win, if I'm the Minnesota DJ.
That's the first song.
They going crazy. And Cheryl walk out there with that T-shirt with whatever quote she got on it. Come on, Kat. Kat, you say you gotta take this. Yeah, it'll go
hard. Triple platinum.
We give it free game.
Hey, we'll see what happens. We'll know in a couple of hours what the outcome will be and if we will be seeing a game 5 or not. On that note, we're going to go ahead and talk about the New York Liberty because they fired their head coach. The New York Liberty shocked the WNBA world when they announced that they were letting go of Sandy Brondello almost immediately after the team was eliminated in the opening round of the WNBA playoffs by the Mercury. The decision, according to the Liberty GM, was in, quote, no way punitive, nor was it reactive, but instead rooted in being proactive. He went on to say, quote, the decision comes after a thorough examination of what the New York Liberty need as we move forward into a future of an ever-evolving WNBA. Lachelle, chat, what do you think he means by rooted in being proactive? Do you think that that is a cover for something else?
It's a contradiction for sure. Because, like, what are you being proactive about? Like, you just won last year.
Right.
Okay, you lost this year. Okay, that happens. That's not abnormal. We've seen that happen before. So what is there to be proactive about? Like, you have a good coach. Mm-hmm. The coach who winningest coach in franchise history. The coach who just brought you your first championship.
Yeah.
What are we being proactive about? Like, it's almost like saying, well, we went ahead and got rid of her before she lost again. Like, so what are you going to do if you hire a new coach and then they lose next year?
Right.
And then they lose the next year after that. And then they lose the next year. So I don't, I do wonder if it is a conversation of other things. You know what I'm starting to realize with some of these owners in the WNBA? It feels as though they get rid of coaches that won't do what they want them to do. Like, if that coach is like, hey, we can't trade this player, or like, hey, no, we need to keep this. It seems like the minute that there's some friction there, it's like, okay, like, let's go ahead and get you out the way then. Like
Mhm.
we saw it with Teaspoon. I felt like that was a big thing in Chicago. I think once they changed leadership and, she's like, hey, no, like it felt like, well, I don't like that you kind of are being combative here. So like, let's go ahead and get you out the way. I'm starting to question that about Sandy. Like, was Sandy sitting there saying, hey, we need this, we need that? And the owners are like, no, how about this? Because it is actually stupid to fire. And this is in any league. I think this is dumb all around. The NBA is really bad at that. If I just won you a championship last year, okay, sure, I lost this year. Disappointment, take me to the woodshed, I guess, and spank me, whatever. But like, what am I getting fired for?
Right.
Like,
if you're delivering results, if you're delivering results, what more can you ask for? And I think that's the overarching question here that has a lot of fans confused, because it's not like a situation where you've lost the locker room, you're losing, the culture's bad. Like the players love her, the fans love her, and you're winning. You're winning. This move doesn't make any type of sense. We've got somebody in the chat, Groovy_FE said Sandy is going to be replaced by male NBA coach. GM said he wanted someone with NBA experience. What is supposed to be special about coaching in the NBA? It's 2 different games. That's
interesting.
I didn't even see that in the report. It is 2 different games. I will agree with that. I don't understand why you would want to move in the direction of an NBA coach. If you think that if your quote stands and you want to move in a direction of a more ever evolving WNBA, I don't know if going with the NBA coach is a solution, because what is the indicator that the WNBA is evolving towards the point that the NBA is, and how does an NBA coach bring in, you know what I mean? Like the two is not equating. I don't see that being an answer to the problem.
But it could, maybe deep down inside, that's how some of these owners in the W are looking at. I think there's a lot of, as much as like he sat there talking about being proactive, no, you're being reactive. Yeah. So I think a lot of these coaches or owners, they panic. Oh, we lost. Oh my gosh. No, like we got to get a whole new coach now. Well, for one, you had injuries. That has nothing to do on the coach. Right. Sure, we could question some of her rotations during that last series against Phoenix. I think that's fair criticism. But like, some of that was out of her control here. We're working with an injured roster, all these things. But I will say, I do think a lot of owners do look at the Las Vegas model of Becky coming from the NBA, being able to really have success really quickly in the W. Because I think that was a big thing for a lot of people. It was like, whoa, she's having success fast. Like, just was able, and I think people kind of idolized the NBA tree. Like, oh, well, she was in the NBA and then came here. And it's like, yeah,
but is that Becky? Or is that just the result of who Becky is as a coach? Or do you think that speaks more to her experience? Like, which one do you truly believe it is?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I mean, she was in a great situation. You got to coach under Greg, like Popovich. Like, everybody's not getting that. That's a whole nother set of things. But I think in the sense of maybe these owners, there's like this fetish about the NBA pipeline to WNBA. And I think they do look at Becky sometimes like, well, because like, to me, I'm like, well, who are you bringing from the NBA to come over here and like, she just won last year. Right. Like, that's all I'm going back to. She just won last year. She's not doing anything wrong. She lost again. Slap on the wrist, disappointing. Okay. But like, you regroup. Right. Like, you are you reacted to losing. Because if y'all win, do you still fire her? No, you don't. Because that wouldn't even make sense.
That wouldn't, yeah.
It don't make sense.
It wouldn't add up. It wouldn't add up. Yeah. It's a situation where the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So it'll be interesting to see ultimately who Louis in the chat said winning cures all. I agree. Winning does cure all. In this case, it apparently didn't, though. I mean, because with the winningest head coach, winning. How do you say it? Winningest, most winning. Whatever. You understand what I'm saying?
Winning, yeah.
She's won a lot of games in franchise history. She's won a lot of games, and no other coach has been able to do that. So clearly that wasn't the case. It seems like there's a bigger underlying issue here, and it's just not being communicated the way that they're willing to communicate it to fans and media, etc. So I don't know. Like I said, grass isn't always greener on the other side. We'll see who they ultimately bring in and what impact that has on this team. Frankly, I kind of hope that this decision comes back to haunt the franchise because I thought she was a great fit. I really did. I don't see this being a really effective solution to whatever problem they think is going on. But that's my 2 cents. It's neither here or there. On that note, we're going to take it over to college football because we saw one of the most anticipated matchups of the week, Penn State versus Oregon, in a double overtime with Oregon taking the win in Happy Valley, 30-24. Lachelle, chat, I'm going to ask you if you can give me your biggest takeaway from the game. If you had one thing that you walked away from this game with, saying, okay, this is what I want to bring to the show. This is what I want to debate. I want to get this off my chest. I need to air this out. What is it?
It's the same thing kind of, but in one sentence, that Oregon looks like the best team in college football right now. And I do believe that Dante Moore is a Heisman frontrunner. Super, super impressed by how they ended that game because it started to look a little, I thought they were getting walked down. I was like, oh, Penn State's walking them down. After watching that game, I was super convinced about Oregon in a way that didn't feel as janky as I have felt the last few years. This one feels a little bit more stable. Like, oh, this might actually be the Oregon team that can get Dan Lanning to the mountaintop.
Okay. I respect that. My take is on the other side, and it's not as positive. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at Penn State.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be positive.
It is not. So strap yourself in because we're going to go down a Penn State rabbit hole real quickly. In the Franklin era, Penn State is 4-21 versus top 10 teams and 1-18 versus top 10 Big Ten teams. I don't care if Penn State is at home. I don't care if they're on the road. I don't care if they're in Indianapolis at the Big Ten Championship. I don't care if they're at the Orange Bowl. I don't care if Saquon is their running back. I don't care if Micah is their linebacker. I don't care if Drew Aller is their quarterback. They lose big games. This has been a theme that we have seen in the last 10 years that Franklin has been there. I think it's time for him to go. That's my hot take.
Lord, you selling his house and he's still in it.
Hey. Yeah, and we're gonna get to that buyout in a second because it's a pricey one, and I don't think as a result that it will happen. But like I said, hot take, I still think he needs to go. I understand that Penn State has a history of swapping out their coaches, but you need to find one that wins big games. Penn State fans don't deserve this, especially with the investment that they have in the football program. I think that Franklin is a great guy. I think he embodies the best parts of Penn State. But you can't keep replaying the same narrative of it's a long season, we'll get back to work. Nothing's going to change, buddy. You've been saying this for a very long time now. So like I said, I want to talk about the buyout real quickly because his estimated buyout is $54 million. It would be very costly for Penn State to fire Franklin. And given his track record, he has done a very good job with that Penn State program. Like I said, his big issue is winning those big games. Same situation that we had with Ohio State's coach.
Oh, Ryan Day.
Thank you. Same conversation we had with Ryan Day last year. If he didn't win the national championship, that man would not have a job because he kept losing all the big games. He kept losing against Michigan. It's the same conversation. Yes, he's done a lot for Ohio State. Great program. Has a very rich history. And he's built that history, a lot of that history. However, you can't consistently lose these big games. Like I said, with this buyout, it's highly unlikely that he would be fired within the next 5 seasons unless this program experiences a major collapse. Chat, throw dubs if you agree with this take. Drop some L's if you disagree, because I want to hear your thoughts. Lachelle, what are you thinking about this?
I think that's a fair criticism. And I think it's a fair, at this point in college football, and I think people fail to realize there's a short leash for not winning big games. But then for some programs, there's like a long leash. Yeah. And I think Franklin has a very long leash. And I think at this point, to your point, I think if you're the board, if you're the boosters, you're kind of like, come on, man. Like, enough is enough. And I think you made a great point about Ryan Day. If him winning that natty,
that saved his job.
Lifeline probably like 5 to 10 more years. Like, you could probably lose the next 5 and like they're going to be okay.
Right.
Franklin hasn't won. So it's like, okay, yeah, these are good teams. These are good regular season teams. But then when we have these big games, you don't win.
Right.
And it's not like we're getting to the national championship here. So, like, we're missing something in correlation. Uncomfortable conversations will be had after this year. And I don't know if this Penn State team is able to bounce back like Ohio State did. I had someone in my comments say, well, don't you think Penn State could be like OSU was last year when they lost to Oregon and then they go on? I'm like, well, there is a difference. Penn State was at home. Ohio State wasn't. They lost because Will Howard sat there and slid. I don't know why he did that. So there's that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they were in Happy Valley on a whiteout. Like, all of this is for you to win. Like, it wasn't, you were walking Oregon down. You lost because Drew Aller decided to throw an interception on the first play of double overtime. There are no fingers to be pointed except at Penn State. Like, so I think you bring some good points. I mean, if I'm part of the board, I'm definitely asking, why can't you win big games? And I would like an answer other than, we'll get back at it. I'm tired of getting back at it. I need you to get at it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you bring up the point about Drew Aller throwing that interception. I will say there is a big discussion on who to point fingers on with this game. Is it Franklin or is it Aller? And I will say I would point the majority of the blame at Aller with this game specifically. He ended his junior season, his junior year, the Orange Ball game, with the ceiling interception, right? You're doing the same thing. This is like the biggest game of your senior year thus far, and this is the same outcome. I don't think he's the answer at quarterback. I don't think he ever was. With this game specifically, I'm not pointing the finger so much at Franklin as I am Aller, but I do think that Franklin is a problem that needs to be addressed. And I know somebody in the chat asked, who's replacing Franklin if they would fire him? I don't have the answer to that right now. I don't know. I'm just saying that it's a conversation that needs to be started, because if they lose to Ohio State later this season, what do you have to say for yourself?
Right.
It's not like you have a tough schedule. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go mess around and lose to like Indiana or Iowa.
Yeah. How this is looking from what we're, I think you bring a good point about Drew Aller. I mean, I think when you start crowning average quarterbacks as like, he's going to be the number one pick in the draft and he's going to be a Heisman. I think a lot of people love that USC game he had last year. When I was watching the game, the commentator brought that game up probably 20 times. He was just like, when Drew Aller and how he played against USC. And like, I'm like, well, why do we keep bringing this game up and not like the playoffs?
Measurement can't be one game. Yeah. One regular season game. Like that can't be the standard. You know what I mean? It's those like the Orange Bowl game, for example, like I mentioned, like it's those performances, it's those big games that matter. USC wasn't USC was not a game that mattered that much.
Right.
So it's like, okay, he played well, whatever. Like that's the story. You know what I mean?
He's a good Drew Aller has a great arm. I give him that. I think he has a great zip on the ball. His decision-making is not great. I think he processes a little bit slow. He's not as mobile as people think he is. Just because a quarterback can get out and scramble doesn't mean that they're a mobile quarterback. They're just able to get out. Like, that's it. What us seeing the interceptions, that's a processing problem. That is literally development problems.
I agree.
And we've seen this now back to back in crucial moments of games. It's one thing to get sacked. Maybe we could blame your O-line. Maybe a receiver drops a ball. Okay. But this is the second, like we're seeing you throw into, that's a processing issue. Especially when we see Dante Moore on the other side look unfazed as he's in Happy Valley like a stone cold killer. Like, and even he made mistakes. Sure, he had the interception, in the 2-point conversion, but I'm like, man, if you sell that a little bit higher, maybe that's a different story. That was just an insane play. I'm like, we just saw him go out there on the road, getting walked down, look calm, cool, and collected. No issue, no problem. Great reads, great throws, good decision-making. And you go out there on the first possession of double over. I would rather you get sacked for 10 yards then go and I'm talking about just, dude, I'm like, yeah, what? So I think it's fair to say, I think if you put quarterbacks in their prospective places, the expectation is a little bit different. I don't expect Drew Aller yet to close games because he doesn't have that gene just yet. He hasn't developed that yet.
No.
So
I don't
it's
know
like,
if we're going to see him develop that. That's the question too.
No, probably not.
Are we realistically in a season? No.
That was a big loss.
It was a
That was a
big
big
loss. And like I said, they have a not very tough schedule going forward. If they can beat OSU and they can beat, I'm going to say Indiana and Iowa, okay, then maybe this Oregon game is just a little blip in the radar. But I mean, OSU's a loss in my opinion, and I could see them, like I said, potentially losing another game to one of those two teams. At the end of the day, I don't think Drew Aller is a good quarterback, and I don't think he's capable of winning a national championship, and I stand by that. That's my 2 cents on that situation. Chat, what are y'all saying? He's a good backup in the NFL?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
He might, honestly, I think he's going to get drafted off potential. These NFL scouts, I'm talking about oohs and ah over your ability to throw a football. Like, if they feel like you got arm strength, they're like, great, we'll work with everything else. They don't care about your decision making. They don't care about your processing skill. They're like, but he could throw the football to the roof, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably still going to get drafted high only because of that, other than the fact that, like, you also lose big games with your coach right next to you. Like, y'all are losing together. Like, it's not one or the other. It's both of you.
Yeah. That's a good point right there. I do want to bring up this question. This is one I posed on my channel. Drew Aller was supposed to declare, or had the option to declare for the draft last year, speaking of NFL. But he decided to come back to Penn State. As a result, we had Bo Pribula into the transfer portal. He went to Mizzou. He's balling out over there. I know a couple people have posed questions on social media saying, would things be different if Bo decided to stay and Drew went pro? Do you think that's the case, or do you think that this is how things were supposed to play out?
I think this is how things were supposed to play out. I think Franklin really likes Drew Aller. And I think after last year, you almost feel like, well, if one more year, like, I think it's selling yourself on the dream that, like, one more year we could get over the hump. And I think that's how Franklin and Drew Aller saw it. It's obvious, too, that Drew Aller's reps, agents, whoever, went to some scouts, and some teams are probably like, you should probably go back for one more year, be the guy in the next year's draft. Because if you go out in this draft, you're most likely not going first round. Like, he definitely got some notes from some people, because he's definitely leaving if they're like, hey, you're a guaranteed top 10. He's not coming back.
Right.
So it's obvious that he was told some things. Franklin was also probably like, hey, we'll come back, Heisman, we win it all. You're going to sell the dream. Like, we'll have the talent, we'll have what you need, and boom, let's take it to the moon, right? So I think it was always supposed to be like this, because, like, to go to Mizzou and then ball out, it's because they sat you down and were like, it's not going to be a quarterback competition. You're not going to have a chance. You might as well just go start somewhere else, because, like, we're riding Drew all the way to the end. Which is why Drew would come back, because there's no quarterback. It's almost like Garrett Nussmeier. That's why LSU's in the same mess. Like, you come back, they're like, hey, come back. It'll just be you. You won't have to compete. Rise up your draft stock. Heisman. And we see how this is going for both parties right now.
Right.
So, and these teams are stuck with their starters. I mean, the only place that probably is like, yeah, you got to go sit is Ole Miss, with Trinidad Chambliss right now, where, like, Lane's like, hey, I'm going with the Ferris State backup, and we're going to ride the, LSU, Penn State, they're in that same situation. You're stuck with the seniors you are paying money to be there. And I think for Penn State, it was like, oh, it's Drew or nothing. Well, you're at nothing.
Yep. And this is your outcome.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, shout out Bo, because, like I said, he's been balling out at Mizzou. I know some Penn State fans wish he was still with Penn State the way that he's been playing over there in Missouri. But hey, like you said, you're stuck with Drew Aller, and this is your situation right now. So we'll see. Hopefully it's up for Penn State. I just don't see this season going the way that they thought at all. And I don't see it really turning around in any type of way that's going to be beneficial for Aller or for Franklin. So time will tell. It's still kind of early in the year. So, it's easy.
We could be wrong
ourselves. Yeah.
I was wrong about Ohio State last year. I was like, there's no way. Then they won.
And they won.
We could be wrong. I don't think we will be, but we could be. We'll leave that possibility out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, we're going to go ahead and move into wait, we've got some comments in the chat real quickly. Bo Prabula has been balling from Mizzou. Yep, he's been playing good. Don't really trust Oregon either.
It's
Why don't
fair.
you trust Oregon? I'm just curious.
There's some teams you can't trust. There's some teams you can't trust. I do agree with that. Ole Miss and Oregon are two teams I just never can trust towards the end of the road.
That's fair. Oh, we got chat's active today. I appreciate y'all chat.
Okay.
Wait, somebody else said, did you guys have opinions about Bama change after their win? Oh, did our opinions about Bama change after their win over Georgia? Yes, we actually have a question from y'all that is
I guess
in
we can
a
answer
later
it.
segment. We can answer it now, though. Do you want to do it
Yeah.
now?
We'll do it now since you asked. How kind of you to be in the chat and be asked. So because of that, we'll move that up. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and ask the question that we had.
So the question that was posed, and this comes from our hotline segment, which we'll get into a little bit later, but the question that was posed, not even a question, it's just a statement. Alabama is a top 10 team, and they just had a bad week one. And the reason why I brought up the hotline segment is because my opinion did change this is going to be my answer to that statement. My opinion of Alabama definitely did change. I do feel like week one was a little bit of a fluke. I don't.
What?
Okay, so clearly LaShawn and I don't necessarily agree on this one. Yeah, I think week one was a little bit of a fluke. I think this game showed signs of the team that we thought Bama could and should be. And I think it was really just them kind of coming out the gate, first game of the season, playing timid against FSU. They definitely looked more dominant when playing against Wisconsin. They looked more dominant when playing against Louisiana Monroe. Obviously, those games weren't really good measurements of where this team is actually at, just given their competition. This team looked way better against UGA. As a result, and with this win, as a result, I do feel like they are a top 10 team. My opinion has definitely changed about them. I don't feel like Kalen DeBoer is as much in the hot seat as he previously was. What I will say about Bama is that they need to continue riding this momentum. They have to sustain this because what they can't do is have a repeat of last year. Losing several games that they shouldn't be losing, it cannot be in their future. My opinion of Alabama will stay the same if that is the case. If that is not the case and they ended up losing some BS games, then I'm going right back to where I stood on Alabama a few weeks ago. That's my 2 cents.
I don't know. I'm not amused by them beating Georgia. I think Georgia and Alabama... Kirby Smart has like a Nick Saban curse, I think, on him that will never be uplifted, even when this man is no longer the coach. So there's that. I was impressed by Ty Simpson, but I think I was impressed at their offense. The offense that I seen last night against Georgia looked like a Kalen DeBoer Washington offense. And I want to say he brought his offensive coordinator from Washington finally, I think, this year with him. And I think that game, I said, oh, this looks like Kalen DeBoer's offense. This looks like how he wants to play football. Correct me on that. I think he brought his OC I think he finally came with him this year.
Ryan Grubb is their current offensive coordinator. He was with the Seahawks before. He came straight from...
Okay.
But he was with Washington from 2022 to 2023. So there was some overlap there. Yeah.
Okay, so that was around the year where they got Michael Penix and stuff like that. So
yes.
He was there. So he was there for that run. Okay, that I think so that adds up. Mm-hmm. So I think now he has a guy that he trusts to run this offense how he likes to. I was impressed. I don't know if I'm sold though, because once you get deep into that SEC schedule and they start seeing a little bit more, I'm interested to see how they handle that. And I think that will tell. I don't know if I can be just amazed at the Georgia win. And I should be. I give them credit, though, because we've been very harsh about that. I think everyone has. And it's been very fair criticism. So it's a big win to go beat Georgia and to do it in the way that they did it with Ty Simpson looking great. I mean, the offense looked really good. Honestly, the best it's looked. I have questions. I need to see it against some more SEC competition. I can understand top 15. I don't know if they're a top 10 team to me, but I guess then you would have to question me and say, who do I think? Are there 10 teams better than them? That's also debatable. So, but they're getting there. They're on my list of improvement. I like what I saw. I don't know if I'm super, super sold just yet, but I mean, you get a Georgia win, it extends your lifeline of having a job at Alabama for a minute.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We've got people in the chat saying Bama got to focus next game. Can't not be like last year. Ole Miss in the top 5. They look like a regular season team to me. Bama has a hard time stopping mobile quarterbacks. I don't believe in Bama either. Vandy is going to expose them. I agree with that. We can get into
Alabama has bad defense. Their defense is not good. That's why I'm shaking. Their defense is really not. You could definitely put up a ton of points on that defense.
Yeah.
A ton.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's our 2 cents there. We answered the question for y'all. Keep dropping them in the chat because we appreciate that. On that note, we are going to go ahead and switch into some NFL talk. And we might get back into some college football here in a second. Who knows? You never know what our hotline is going to bring. But I want to quickly touch on Jaxson Dart because he officially made his start with the Giants after benching Russell Wilson for Dart in week 4. That decision proved to be the right one as he's given the Giants a little bit of new life. They won against the Chargers today. Yeah, Dart won a game he really had no business winning, especially with his number 1 receiver, Malik Neighbors, out. He exited with what is believed to be a torn ACL. On top of that, the Giants defense looked really good today. Overall, pretty impressed. I'm a little concerned with Neighbors out. It's not been officially determined if he does have a torn ACL, but it wasn't looking too great. Could this potentially be a turning point for New York? Like I said, with that injury, what does this team look like? Who is this team without Malik Neighbors?
I mean, I think the biggest question is like, what does this team look like without knowing who's going to be their starting quarterback for the rest of the year? I mean, because they weren't winning games with Malik, it is going to be it makes it harder on you. It makes it harder, especially if they're going to ride the wave of Jaxson Dart, not to have a number 1 option that is so consistent and can be trusted like Malik. So that's a big loss. You touched on their defense. I thought their defense looked really good. Me and Bailey talked about this a little bit before the show. The plan for New York was always to have Jaxson Dart be the starter. And I don't know if people want to accept that or not, because I'm sure we all saw the clip of Brian Daboll. He was so happy. He was he was happy that Jaxson Dart won this game for his career and for this whole thing. To me, the plan was always Jaxson Dart. I think he couldn't justify it because it's hard to tell a group of people, yes, I'm going to bench Russell Wilson, who has won a Super Bowl, who has been a quarterback in this league, for this rookie who has not taken an NFL snap just yet. It's hard to explain that to a front office. It's hard to explain that to fans. So you kind of have to sit and wait and say, let's see how this pans out. Well, it panned out exactly how they thought it would. Russell Wilson wasn't winning. Okay, well, great. Let's go ahead and put Jaxson Dart in then, because Russell Wilson is healthy. He's not hurt. He's not nursing any injuries. They said, okay, enough is enough. Let's go ahead and put Jaxson Dart in. And what does Jaxson Dart do? The thing that you would expect any rookie quarterback to go do when you're in a situation like this, go win. You win a game against the Chargers, a good team, a good defense, not a fluky win, not some like we got it at the great, solid win. Russell Wilson is no longer going to be the starter going forward. They would rather Jaxson Dart have some success in what he's doing and say they lose a few, but they're like, hey, the potential's there though. If we get this thing rolling, the plan was always Jaxson Dart. The plan was never for Russell Wilson. Never. It just worked out that way. But it worked out how they thought.
Preach, Lachelle. Preach. Someone in the chat said, shout out to Dart for his first career win. TJ Smooth Guy. Prayers up to Neighbors. And we've got, I don't know how to say your username, friend, but he said Cam freaking Scatterbo is the answer. Cam Scatterbo is nice. He's nice.
He brings an intensity to that team that I think they've been needing. Especially, he just runs violent. I mean, you need that. You need some violent kind of energy. I think they have that in Cam, and they got that with Jaxson Dart. They both have that. They feed off of that. I think that's what they've been wanting.
Yeah, I think that's a good combo right there. Justin Herbert isn't the QB they hyped him up to be. He had 3 chances to tie or win the game.
Yeah, Harbaugh said it was his O-line's fault. I respect Harbaugh because he loved his quarterback. He loved Justin Herbert. He will never let this man get any slander. He's like, the O-line should have been better.
It's never Herbert's fault.
It's not Justin.
It's never his fault.
Justin's fault.
It's the O-line.
Yeah, I'm like, now, come on now.
Let's be realistic with yourself.
Stop it. That O-line ain't throw them interceptions. Come on.
Whatever. Whatever. All right. I want to switch over to another quarterback conversation. This one in Minnesota with the Vikings. There's been a little bit of conversation about what to do with JJ McCarthy and Carson Wentz. JJ McCarthy's been out with an ankle sprain since week 2, and Carson Wentz stepped in at starter, leading the Vikings to an impressive 48-10 win in week 3 against the Bengals. Fast forward to week 4, they're in Ireland. Despite the loss to the Steelers, he played well, throwing for 350 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hopes are high for the Vikings, with reports saying that McCarthy could be healthy and ready to play as soon as week 5, but they do want him to be 101% before making his return, so it's looking like week 7 is a more probable timeline. Both showings from Wentz have sparked speculation about whether he could permanently replace McCarthy. The Vikings have been pretty battered. They have a pretty battered O-line, especially after today's game, which could affect Wentz's success moving forward. But if Wentz balls out, what do you do about JJ when he comes back?
JJ has his starting job waiting on him when he gets back.
There's zero competition.
Not really. I mean, I feel like if there was competition, there was no point in having Sam Darnold walk then, because he had great success. I mean, but technically, if you think about it, he really only was starting too because JJ was hurt. So, like, I think the plan is for JJ. I think the plan for Kevin O'Connell has always been JJ. So I think Wentz can play as great as he wants to. I don't even think I would be surprised. I'll say that. Because again, it could be different conversation. I would be highly surprised if Wentz was just playing that great and JJ's 101% healthy. And they're like, no, it would be very, very hard for me to believe that they would go that way.
Yeah, I think it would be a conversation if you did ultimately choose Wentz over McCarthy. I feel like you would have to trade JJ, because what message does that send to him if you opt for him over Wentz? Like you said, he's always been that guy for Minnesota. We knew that from the moment he got drafted. I don't realistically see his job being in jeopardy. I think that he'll be fine when week 7 or week 5, whichever, happens to be his timeline. I think whenever he does, come back, he'll be fine. But interesting conversation nonetheless. I know that's been floating around the sports media ethernet, and I want to see y'all's thoughts on it. I want to see y'all's thoughts. Y'all are saying no competition, stick with JJ. We hear you. We agree with you.
Yeah.
We see you. You are heard, seen, felt over here. On that note, we're going to go ahead and transition into our favorite segment of the night. Michelle, tee us up.
Yes. Okay, chat. Y'all know what we do every week, and y'all are getting better. I'm proud of y'all. I'm going to give y'all some credit. Y'all were active in the chat today. You gave us great submissions, hot takes, questions, just planting your flag, and we love that. So we appreciate you, because, y'all was acting scary when we was like, call us. But y'all are doing great with the submission, so please continue to do that. Okay, we already talked about Alabama, so I don't think we have to go through that, but that was one of the submissions that we have. So shout out to y'all for already being ahead of schedule there. But we do have one that sounds like a hot take. Diego Pavia is the best quarterback in the SEC. I'm sorry to say I do not drink the Pavia Kool-Aid. I think he's a tough quarterback, fits the culture of Vandy, but yeah, sorry. I don't agree.
Best in the SEC is a stretch. His QBR does say otherwise. He has the highest rated of all SEC quarterbacks. He's 5th in the nation when it comes to QBR. But I do think that there's other people in the SEC who would beg to differ. I think Oklahoma's QB, he would want to stay in that conversation. I know he's injured. That's a slightly different story. I would say even Bo Perbula could be part of that conversation. Like I mentioned earlier, he's having a great year at Mizzou. He is with an offense that is one of the most highly talked about, one of the most promising, good-looking offenses in the SEC. Even I would argue in college football right now. I think both of them are easily in that top quarterback conversation when it comes to this conference. I do think that Diego Pavia is doing great things at Vanderbilt. I think this Vanderbilt team is very different than the Vanderbilt that we've known in the past, and I will give him props to that. Props for that, because prior to him being there, they didn't look the way that they previously looked. Matter of fact, we would all clown Vanderbilt 90% of the time when it came to the whole program. So I mean, it's no disrespect to Pavia, but I can't agree that he is the best quarterback in the SEC. Like I said, statistically speaking, if you look at his QBR, yeah, but I'm also not drinking that Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I don't like the taste of it. Now, this next one is interesting. Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 QB. He's a system player with an elite team.
I don't
I
know.
do agree.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. Hear hear me out.
Okay.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
think I don't think system player is a diss. He is a quarterback that fits a really great system that fits his strengths and minimizes his weaknesses. And I think that works. Do I look at Jalen Hurts as a generational player? No. You know, like, do I sit there and say, whoa, like this is MVP? Not really. But at the end of the day, his most important thing is winning championships. He doesn't care about all that other stuff. So I think he is a system player. I mean, it goes back to like the conversation of like Cam Newton had a long time ago, changers and like game managers and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a game manager. Like there's nothing, I don't think that's just like, whoa, like we've never seen. It's like he's in his system. He does his job really well. And his team is really good that allows his strengths to be his strengths and his weaknesses don't have to be talked about that much. I think he's exactly that. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Top 10, I definitely think he's a top 10 QB. Like, come on now. Like the QB playing in the NFL isn't as big and great as we be saying. Like he's top 10 for sure.
Okay, I hear your argument on that. And what you said about Cam Newton, because that's what that came to mind when I initially saw this take. I want to ask you this question because I know in Cam Newton's argument, he said that he would trust Baker Mayfield over Jalen Hurts in a high pressure game on the line situation. Do you agree with that take?
I mean, how Baker winning games last minute. I mean, it's a good okay. It's a good argument, maybe. I think I would trust both of them. Put it that way. I don't think I would pick either one, I guess, in a sense. But I've seen them both in high pressure situations, and I think they both can operate in their systems. Like Baker operates really well in his system. I think Jalen Hurts also operates really well in his system. I mean, I just think, is there anything about when Jalen Hurts plays, you go, whoa, that was something?
No, I mean, I'm going to agree with you to a degree. I don't think that he gets things done in the prettiest way, but he's delivering wins at the end of the day. And it's like, what more do you want from him? And then when you look at those wins and what that has equated to, I would say that he is definitely a top 10 quarterback. That's the part of the argument where I'm just like, okay, let's be honest with ourselves here. Now the whole, he's just a system player on an elite team. Like I could probably go back and forth on that one, but it's not a top 10 quarterback.
Nah, he's top 10. He's for sure in the top 10. 100%. Top 5, that's a real debate. Top 10 for sure in that.
For sure. I'm glad we agree on that one. Somebody in the chat said top 10 definitely. I think Baker is a better leader in those high pressure situations. Where would you put Baker in a top 10 list?
Oh, if I'm thinking currently right now in QB play, he's top 5.
Okay.
Because he's playing out of his mind. He really is. I give him a lot of credit. He is playing a very high level of football right now. I don't know if I would have him at 1, but man, he's in that top 5. I don't know where I would place him, but top 5.
1?
He wouldn't be 1 to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. He wouldn't be 1. He'd probably be at like 3. He'd probably be like right there for me because he's playing really well.
Who's above him then? Just out of curiosity.
Josh Allen's up there. He's playing some really high level football too. Second, that's tough for me because I would have said Jordan Love, but I'm a little iffy. So maybe Baker might be 2 for me actually.
Shout out Baker.
Baker's playing great. He really is. He really is. He's playing really good. I know they lost today, but man, he's playing some good football.
No, he is. He is for sure. For sure. I agree with that. All right, what do we got next?
Russell Wilson should go ahead and retire.
Yeah, his time's up. I mean,
We might be there.
yeah, he was replaced in Denver. He was replaced in Pittsburgh. He was replaced in New York. It's time. He was,
Not looking good.
yeah. There was a decade where he was him. He was that guy. He was making plays that nobody else could. But I mean, the game moves fast, and his decline's been real, and he's been pushed aside just about everywhere he's gone. And I agree, it might be time to give it up.
Yeah,
Hate
we're
to say
there.
it, but
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, it's everybody has an end. So this is just looking like it could be his.
It's a conversation. It's a conversation for sure. This one sounds more like a question. Well, it is a question. Why are punters running backwards for a safety? Now, I would say it's a numbers thing. So if you're about to punt the ball or say you have the ball last and say that team only needs like 3 points, well, and we only got 7 seconds on the clock, I'm going to just run backwards and run all the way around so the clock can get triple zeros. And you get 2 points, but you can't win the game. So it's more strategy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that this was a question in relation to the Indiana game, because that happened. Although I believe it was Mendoza that ran the ball backward for the safety. And I know he made some comments on it because people weren't too happy from a sports betting perspective about that decision. And he said, quote unquote, cooked a lot of people's spread. So, apologies if you are that angry sports bettor that is asking that question. And if you put money on that game and your spread was ruined because of that. But yeah, it is a strategy thing at the end of the day. If you're in a winning position late in the game, you're choosing to take the safety instead of, risking a block or a fumble on a punt or a turnover on a failed first down attempt is, that's probably the move. Somebody said a win is a win. A win is a win.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how you get it.
Right. Well, there you have it. There you have it, folks. We appreciate you for submitting those hot takes because this is a good week. This is a good week.
We're proud. We're proud of y'all.
Indiana beat Iowa yesterday. By the way, they're 5-0. They sure are. Can we get a Hoosiers in the chat? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Who do they play next?
That's a great question.
They play they play Oregon.
Big game.
Yeah, at Oregon.
That could be this is their time to shine.
Sure is.
Rise up to the challenge.
It'll be a good one.
Yeah.
They play they have a bye week. Yeah. Okay. So they have a week. Hey, that helps. They have a week off and then they get to go to Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't Oregon have a bye week too?
Do they? I don't know.
I think they have a bye week too.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So they'll both be healthy, ready to go. It's going to be a good game.
Dang. It'll be a good game. I just want Indiana to win bad. So I need them to be in whatever is a better position for them to win. I really needed Oregon to probably be on the road again.
Yeah.
And have 0 rests. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to wish injuries on anybody. But I want Indiana to be in a good position to win that game because that would really solidify us as a football team right there.
For real.
Somebody said 42-10 Indiana. No, that's your score prediction? 42-10 Indiana? I like you. I like you. They could see each other again, maybe. Yeah, in the Big Ten championship. Let's fingers crossed.
I know that's right. Not y'all banding it together.
I like y'all in the chat. This is a good chat tonight. Chat, we need to see you back here more regularly. If you aren't already following, we got to be optimistic, Bailey. We are. I am optimistic. Sometimes. I also have to be realistic. I've said this once before. I've said this many times before that as much as I like to be optimistic, I consider myself a very optimistic person. I also put on the realist hat.
Yeah.
And, we just have to be able to balance both things out sometimes. So anyways, like I said, chat, y'all were good to me tonight. So I need y'all to follow. I need y'all to sub because I like this chat that we've got going on.
Yeah, we like y'all.
On that note, thank y'all for joining us tonight. We're going to be live on Twitch every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure to sub or hit that follow button. And if you miss part of the stream, don't worry because every episode is posted on YouTube Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. 4 p.m. Eastern time is 1 p.m. isn't it?
Yep, 1 Pacific.
Okay, yeah. On that note, we out.